Hey guys, Hardway back again with another rant. I'm on another road trip, so found something to talk about. Decided I wanted to do a video, or probably a couple of videos, about what I would do to the Master Chief Collection. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to happen with this game before Infinite comes out, because I suspect once Infinite comes out, support for this game is going to either vanish or drastically decrease. So there is somewhat of a sense of urgency about getting things done with this game. And before I go any further, I just want to commend the team that has been working on MCC since 2018 when they really dove into fixing it. It's not a big team working on MCC. It's a few guys getting worked to the freaking bone on this with an overwhelming amount of work on their plate, and what they have managed to do to this game in the last couple of years is nothing short of incredible. They were handed an absolute shit show disgrace of a game, and they've turned it into a landmark in the Xbox game library. And it's something that Xbox as a brand should be proud of, and it's something that 343 should be proud of. That said, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and I know they've got a lot of awesome stuff coming that they've talked about in their blog and everything, but I want to talk about what I personally want to see. Alright, so I'm going to probably split this into a couple of videos, where with the first video being like a view from 30,000 feet, like big picture type stuff, and the second video really diving into like the nitty gritty of stuff, like the real specific stuff I want to see changed. So starting off with just big picture stuff, I tried to keep this in like somewhat of a logical order as best I can do while I'm driving down the road and using voice to text into my notes app. But the first thing that I would like to see is the leaderboards that they have for campaign stuff. I feel like that is such a really cool feature that gets like no attention in this game. I just feel like that just needs to be more prominent to begin with, both the speedrunning and the scoring leaderboards. I think a good way to do that would be to have like maybe like a specific weekly challenge where like give like a certain part time for a certain mission with certain skulls on. You got to hit X score, X time, like every week, and that would give me a reason to boot up, like play the Storm with Iron and Black Eye on and beat it in under 15 minutes or something like relatively challenging like that. I think that would be cool. And I don't know, maybe just like highlight some of like the top people on the leaderboards every now and then on a blog, and just draw some more attention to it, because I think it's really awesome that they have that in the game and it never really gets talked about. Next thing, moving into multiplayer, like I think for the most part PvE is in a really good spot for MCC, especially now that the challenge system is out and it gives you more of a reason to get into it. But multiplayer, it still needs a lot. Namely, like, I know I harp on this a lot, but like ranked playlists, they need a shot in the arm. Like for the most part, the Halo 3 playlists are doing okay. Like sometimes it's kind of hard to find games in hardcore, but like the Team Slayer and doubles, they're doing okay for the most part. The other games need a lot of help. They need a lot of help. I talked in my ranked playlist video that I put out back in March about how small of a slice of the pie that ranked multiplayer is, and how you take this already small slice of people that play the multiplayer, and then they play competitive multiplayer, and then you take that already small slice and you're like, okay, but now we only want the hardcore player. Like, dude, just stop cutting the slice unnecessarily small. Make it inviting to more people and let them decide for themselves if they want to play it after they try it. like that's one of the things I liked most about what Halo 5 did is they made good settings normal, and as far as I recall, there wasn't much of a backlash about it. People accepted what they were given, and I just think that that's what we should be doing with ranked Halo. Quit trying to scare people away from it or make it like this warning, don't play this if you don't think you're good enough. Like, no, let them. That's kind of the point of ranked, is to come in and play with people that are like you. Now, there's another problem with ranked playlists where I feel like in MCC it doesn't fulfill its purpose in that regard, and that's because it takes too fucking long to level up. So the good players end up smashing bad players because there's more of a chance for them to play them, because it takes so damn long for them to get where they need to be. And also, because it takes so long for them to get to where they need to be, there are such few players there, the search times are forever, and that incentivizes them to make smurfs and start over and do it again. And then the bad players get fucked over again. So if you make it so where you can get to 50 in a reasonable amount of time, then this ceases to be an issue, and bad players can use it as the safety net that it should be, to where you can play people that are like you. That's what ranked should be. And right now it's not getting treated that way, and it doesn't function that way, and that needs to change. Now, if they can manage to do that, if you can manage to get, like, let's say, if you were to start fresh and win 75 games in a row, I think that should put you at a 50. With progress bonuses for win streaks, and obviously for beating people that are ranked higher than you, you should get more XP. But win streaks should be a thing. It should accelerate you if you're on a 10 game in a row winning streak. Like, come on, let's speed this along a little bit. I disagree with, like, the grind to 50 being the appeal of ranked. I feel like ranked's function should be to just get you where you belong and playing with people that you should be playing with relatively quickly. I feel like Halo 3 did a pretty decent job of walking that line between the grind for the 50 and getting you where you should be. Halo 5 was like shortcut to where you should be, and the grind was only in like Onyx and Champ. And then Halo 2 was like all grind. So I think, you can find a balance there in between, and emulating Halo 3 I think is probably the way to go, and I feel like most people would agree with me. Let me check my notes here. What do we got? If you were to get that in place, then I think ranked could benefit a lot. Well, it could right now benefit a lot from double XP across every playlist, just to give people more of an incentive to try it. Because right now there's no incentive to play ranked except for, and I'm really grateful they added it, the weekly PvP challenge of playing and winning competitive games. But outside of that, like, if you don't care about leveling up and getting a 50, like, there's no incentive to play it, aside from maybe the better settings. But I feel like if you're gonna offer a bigger challenge, which ranked usually is a bigger challenge, then it should have a bigger payout. And I feel like that's a really fair transaction to offer your player base. But right now it's just bigger challenge for the bigger challenge, and especially with like the gatekeeping that exists within the menus of competitive playlist, and then within that hardcore playlist, like, it's just filtering out more and more people. But if you get rid of all that and rather you try to entice people in, maybe we could find a fucking game when we search for 10 minutes in Halo 2. You know what I mean? Like, quit trying to scare people away from it and start trying to open the door to get people in there. I mean, ranked has a purpose other than just to stroke your ego. And it needs some help right now. It needs some love, big time. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I talked about it in my ranked playlist video, but I would get rid of anything that says hardcore I would get rid of it and make it say arena. Keep the hardcore settings, keep no radar, just add in some more maps and game types for variety's sake. We don't need tournament practice playlists because there's no tournaments. So just make the playlist good, make it robust. Alright, what's next? Sorry, I'm having to scroll through my notes app and try to glance at what I wrote down earlier while also not driving my car off the road, so just try to bear with me. I would love to see a Halo 3 style playlist progression system that they added back in like 2008 in Halo 3, like the white playlist progression ranks. I would love to see that get added both to ranked and for the match composer. It'd be kind of tricky with the match composer just because of the nature of it. Like, how would you show, your total wins and oddball or whatever? The way I think it should be done is if you have multiple games checked, it goes away. But if you like only check Halo 1, then you can see how many Halo 1 Precision Team Slayer wins you have, how many oddball wins you have, that sort of thing. And then you can look per game type and see what your playlist progression is. As soon as you check multiple games, it goes away because there's not really any real way to do it at that point. But I feel like that is just such an easy way to add a shitload of replayability to the game, just like it did for Halo 3. It changed nothing about the game itself. It just gave you a reason to play. And I mean, MCC does a pretty good job of that already with the XP system. But that also, the failing in that is that there's no incentive to win, which I thought was the beauty of Halo 3's system, where it made you want to try even in social. Like, you didn't lose anything for losing aside from your time. It was a 0 XP gain, but you got your +1 for winning. And then the other great thing it did was it's so disincentivized quitting, because it was a -2 for a quit. So, who knows how many games that's going to take to get back if you quit. And, like, looking back at my time in Halo 3, quitting was fairly rare, especially compared to what came before and after it. I feel like MCC could gain a lot from that. The playlist progression ranks. Sorry, I'm trying to fight my phone right here to look at these notes again. XP incentives for having more boxes checked in Match Composer. I feel like if you're one of these players that has a bunch of games checked and a bunch of game types checked, you are doing God's work in matchmaking. Like, you are the fill player. Like, you help so much to just get games going. And I think that sort of behavior within the game should be rewarded. Maybe like a 0.1 multiplier per box you check. Like, obviously the first two aren't going to do anything for you because that's the minimum to get it going. Like, one game type, that's the minimum you can search. But for each box you check beyond that, you start ramping that multiplier up a little bit to where if you're a player that searches everything, you're getting a pretty damn significant XP multiplier at the end of your game. And that's what's so nice about how high the XP cap is in MCC, is it allows room for stuff like this, because so few people are ever going to level cap in this game, especially once Infinite comes out. You left yourself the room to incentivize the type of behavior that you want to see. Right now they're not really doing it, but hopefully they do. And that could extend to things like having a mic plugged in and being in game chat. I feel like you should get an XP bonus for that. I mean, it's so rare. Like, for anybody that came up in Halo 2 and remembers that it was weird to not have a mic plugged in, you know how much we're missing nowadays. And Halo 3 people probably experience a lot of the same. Okay. I would love to see a party up feature like Halo 3 had. I thought that was a great idea. It incentivized making friends. Maybe that's another thing. I don't know if it'd be good for the game or not to incentivize people to party up and like maybe give them an XP reward for playing as a team. Maybe you could do it if so like the way it worked in Halo 3 is like it kept the lobby rolling. Like you could party up while essentially still searching. Give the XP bonus for that, but not for searching with a pre-made party. Because that I don't think needs to be rewarded at all. That just encourages pub stomping. But if you could encourage people to be social and make new friends by opting in to party up and keep playing with the same people, that could be cool. Then if you back out of the search at any point, you lose your bonus. But I think that could be a really cool way to make new friends and give Halo that social aspect back to it that it's been missing for so long. I would love to see, for MCC and every Halo game going forward, I really, really think we need a vote to forfeit option. Some of these games get out of freaking control, and there's a lot of things we can do to alleviate that. But the easiest way, the most surefire way to end just pub stomping, farming, non-fun, awful games is let people vote to forfeit. If you're loading King of the Hill and you have a quitter in the loading screen, get out of that game. Take no quit penalty, just whatever. Who wants to play 3v4 King of the Hill? Especially if the other team is as good as you are. Like that's when you know your game is gonna suck, or like you get a bunch of quitters, or you're playing big team battle TS to 100 and it's like 60 to 10. Like just get that crap out of the way, and make it a really high percentage of your team, or if not unanimous. But give people a way out of garbage games, and that would help so much. Let's see. I think I talked about this in my community video, but I just want to reiterate, just in case people haven't seen it. But I would love to see a vote to rematch, or a vote vote for best of 3. I think it should only take effect if both teams are searching with the max party size. But yeah, if my squad of 4 just has a really sweaty game with another squad of 4, I think teams should be able to vote for a short series, vote for a best of 3 series on a different map. You're not playing the same map again, but like go pit Guardian Construct or whatever. And if the team that won the first game wins the second game, then dissolve the lobby. It's over. You guys won your series. But if the team that lost game 1 wins game 2, then go to a third game. I think that would be awesome. Sorry, this video is going to be super choppy because I keep having to scroll and look away. I'm probably going to edit out a lot of these pauses, but it's not going to sound natural, and I apologize for that. Another thing I'd like to see is this goes along the same lines as the vote to forfeit, of like things that should be put into the game to alleviate really lopsided, awful farming games. I think the XP structure should be laid out in a way to where you get more XP for winning faster. If it takes you 15 minutes to beat a team in CTF, you should get less than if you beat them in 3 or 4 minutes. That alone would do so much to just like not give people a reason to drag out and prolong the suffering when you're clearly overmatched the other team, because that's one of the worst, most toxic, detrimental things to this game's population, is getting stuck in a game where you have no chance and it just drags on and on and on. Well, you're never gonna completely get rid of it, but you can take away people's reason to do it, or at least their incentive to do it. Another thing going along that same line is, a lot of times people that do that, like they party up in their team of 4 or their team of 8, and they stat because their kill death ratio is displayed publicly within the game. And like, if anybody were to click on their player details and like, want to check this person out, like, oh my god, his KD is ridiculous, like they get the biggest ego boner from that. Just take it away. And then, like, if you had to look somebody up on Waypoint just to see that shit, like, nobody would, it would take away so much of the reason to want to flex on people like that. Like, just KD flexing is just such a toxic, shitty part of the game. Like, it'd be fine if, like, it was in a tournament and you're like, your whole team is really playing for the most efficient win possible, and it's like, oh yeah, I had a 2 KD in a tournament, like, that's impressive. But when you're just partying up with people, max party size and big team battle, and just statting on people for 15 minutes when you could win in 4, there's nothing impressive about that. And you should not be able to flaunt that. I think it's stupid, it's too easily exploitable, it's detrimental to the game, and it should be taken away. Something needs to be done about idle detection. And I think that is something they're working on. It's just taking them a really long time. But honestly, like, what were they thinking with the initial implementation of idling? Like, the Sleepy Z's icon where you're playing with your friends, you're like, hey, Jim, wiggle your sticks so we can search. Like, how is that helping? That's never the problem with idling. What the problem with idling is when someone walks away in the middle of a game, the game ends, and then the rolling lobby makes him search again when he hasn't touched his controller for 10 minutes, and he's just searching game after game after game, staying idle the whole time. The idling problem is never like people in a party together. It's that one guy who's not paying attention to his Xbox. Like, that's what needs to be resolved. So I feel like Halo 5 had pretty good idle detection. If you walked away in the middle of the game for a couple of minutes, it would kick you out, and you wouldn't automatically fucking search again. That's what MCC needs. Not making people yell at their friends to jiggle their sticks because they're looking at their phone between games. Like, that doesn't help anything. It never prevents the actual problem. It's just a nuisance. Okay, so I want to talk about once the custom game browser comes out. Like, that's going to be sick when that comes out. First of all, I'm super excited about that. But Halo 5 also had a custom browser, and I got to be honest with you, I used it like twice. A couple of reasons. The lesser of the two reasons was a lot of the content in the custom game browser was utter garbage. I didn't want to play people's stupid assassinations only clan recruitment lobbies on their baby's first Forge map. A lot of it was terrible. But the bigger reason was I'm kind of like really compelled to always progress towards a goal, like usually for XP. And so, like, I'm not gonna play custom games because I can't gain any XP in it. Like, that's a big thing for people like me that need to work towards something. So what I kind of fear in the back of my mind when this custom game browser comes out for MCC is like, yeah, it's going to be awesome, but honestly, am I ever going to use it? And it's a fine line you gotta walk with this sort of thing because it's so easily abused. If you were to offer the same XP gains for custom that you do in matchmaking, then people would sit in lobbies with their friends and just farm medals and blast through the ranks like that. I don't know why. I think that'd be stupid. Just a really monotonous waste of time, but people would do it, and it probably should be dissuaded so that XP ranks, continue to mean something, and they don't just become completely irrelevant. And I think a decent way to do that would be to still offer like game completed XP that caps out at like 15 minutes. Don't offer any XP for medals or anything like that, but it should give you something for the time that you put in. The reason I want it to cap out at 15 minutes is so that people don't queue up unlimited game times and then cash out after 5 hours of being out of their home, and they come back and they're like, oh, end this game and see how much XP I just got. No, if they actually want to do that, they're going to have to check back in every 15 minutes, and it's not going to be worth it. But for people that actually do use the custom browser the way it's meant to, they still get something for their time. So I feel like that's the balance that could be struck. Within the custom game browser, I really think that there should be some sort of way to filter out the shit, because there's going to be a lot of shit, let me tell you. If you've seen Halo 5's custom browser, if you've seen Halo 1's server browser, for that matter, on Halo PC way back in the day, you know that people host garbage bullshit. And if you're just looking for a normal game, you're going to have to search through a lot of shit to get to it. So I think that 343 should hire somebody to spend time in the custom browser, get to know these hosts, these perennial hosts that are usually there, and kind of like give a 343 endorsement. Like, this guy hosts a good lobby. His game types are good. Like his custom games of Fat Kid or Jump Rope, or like they use the correct settings. Like the maps are good. This Tour de Walsh has correct FFA settings, and it's not just thrown together 9-year-old garbage. That would help a lot. Like, if that was a filter option, like 343 approved. This lobby's good, you know. And then maybe have like a sub tag to it, like competitive or mini games or something like that, so you kind of know why it's approved for what it is. That would help me a lot. Or maybe also like allow you to vote on the host. Far Cry 5 had something kind of similar to that. That game's multiplayer was just dumpster vomit, but it did have a really cool system for allowing the community to vote up stuff they like and allowing shit that nobody liked to fall by the wayside. I think the custom game browser should have something like that too, where if you're consistently hosting good lobbies with good game types on good maps, the community is going to back you at that, and your lobby will be more visible. I mean, just give it like the Reddit approach. All right, what's next? I think that MCC needs to increase the limit of custom content that can be stored on the game, and it really needs to improve the user interface for searching for it. So like, if you have a ton of maps or a ton of game types or a ton of films, it can really be a pain in the ass to search through it, scrolling horizontally like that. Like, the user interface probably needs to be updated. But also, like, I remember when MCC first came out, and I think it's still the case, where you could only have 50 items. One pool of 50 stretched across theater films, maps, game types. Like, that's not very much. That fills up super fast. I remember prepping for a LAN, and I was pre-making my game types for Halo 1, Halo 2, and whatnot, and I ran out of space real quick. And I was like, what the how the hell am I already out of space? I only have game types for 2 games and like a handful of theater clips. I mean, just something needs to be done about that, because it's not good enough. Okay, so those are kind of my bird's eye view fixes. I should probably break it off because this video is getting kind of long, but I have more to say later. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next part.